Doesn't it sound like heaven to love your teen so well that they can't help themselves but love you back? Welcome to Pivot Parenting. I'm your host, Heather Frazier. And together, you and I are going to build more peace and joy so that your family looks forward to being together in the fun times and so that you are strong enough to overcome any obstacle that your family might face. This is where small weekly shifts that you implement create lasting change so that peace and happiness can truly abound in your home. Hey, how's it going? I'm so happy to be here with you today as we continue on our series of love. And this series is for you if, when thinking about your teen, you experience worry, frustration, and need for them to change or for you to have more control over what's happening. This is for you if you feel yourself bouncing between anger and apathy, just trying to find somewhere soft to land. If you care so much about them that you find yourself being tied into a pretzel just to please them, and then it doesn't really work. It all falls apart. If this is relatable, my friend, you could be misunderstanding and possibly misapplying love in your family. This is my 12-episode series on love. We're going to put fear, frustration, and heartbreak behind us, and I'm going to teach you how to embrace love so well that your relationship with your children, with your spouse, with your neighbor, and with yourself can't help but improve. You're going to want to begin at the beginning if you haven't yet. That's episode 310, 311, and 312. Those are the foundational pieces that all of the other episodes build upon. We want to create a base where you will learn all of the necessary things to love your child so well that your family dynamic and your family relationships change for the good. And today we are talking about a really hard one, which is loving everyone in the story. What I mean by that is loving your ex, loving the mean girls, loving your kid when they lie, when they lash out, loving yourself for getting it wrong. This is really simple in theory and difficult in application. This is why I recommend, if you haven't listened to episode 310, 311, and 312, to do so, because that builds the foundation that you need in order to even attempt this 2.0 next level difficult degree of loving. Now, I say this because I get it. It is really hard to love people who have hurt people I love. It is really hard to love those who I disagree with or dislike. But this is the exercise of finding peace, of strengthening relationships, and evolving as a human and as a person. And if you're into Jesus, as becoming a disciple of Christ. I want to break this episode into two parts. The first part, I want to be really clear on what I mean and who I am talking about and what this looks like in real life. And then the second part is going to be how to apply it, how to practice it, why the benefits of this, who wins, all of that kind of stuff. Because the most common pushback that I get on this philosophy is why? Why would I do that? They don't deserve my love. They don't deserve my respect. I don't want to love them. And it reminds me of a conversation that I had. I was out on a triple date with a couple of my sisters and our spouses, and we were talking about love and how we need to love every person and every person is capable of love. And one of my sisters was like, Hitler wasn't. I don't need to love Hitler. And me and my brother-in-law were both like, yeah, Hitler is worthy of love, even though he was awful. And she really pushed back on this. And I can see why. He wasn't a good person in a lot of values that most of us hold. He killed a lot of people. He had a lot of prejudices. He did a lot of harm. It is easy to look at people throughout history who have caused a lot of pain. Just like in micro, it is easy to look at people, individuals who we know personally. We can look at our exes or our best friends' exes or our children's best friends who stabbed them in the back, or teachers or coaches who betrayed them, and hate. Hate is a really simple, go-to, low-hanging fruit response to people who did us or somebody that we love dirty. So I want to actually bounce around between a couple examples because as parents, let's say you're divorced and your ex was awful. Your ability to love or lack of ability to love them will bleed into the relationships with your children and all of your other relationships, especially the one with yourself. Just like in parenting, our ability or inability to love a child who is repeatedly nasty to us and mean and lying and all of those things, that relationship affects us in various ways as well. Or we have a wonderful child and we see their friends mistreating them, so we hate their friends because they go do things without them. They say hurtful things, and our sweet child still wants to be their friend. So we feel it our duty to dislike those nasty friends for our child. This is the natural human response. This is the go-to hardwiring response. What this causes is a lot of angst and upset for us that typically those people do not feel. And if they do sense it, they are less affected by it than we are. And if they do sense it, they may delight in it because that means they win. In my husband's family, we laugh at family gatherings about trophies. And if you can get their goat or upset them, then you just got a trophy in your trophy case. And this is a playful, loving thing to point out to people, hey, nobody here is trying to get upset or attack you, but you just got riled up by them and now they actually are happy because they got the response that they wanted from you. Now, I want to really be specific here. When I say to love our enemies or to love those who we dislike or distrust or have been hurt by, I do not mean be a doormat to them. It is not loving to allow people to cause harm to you or your child. It is not always loving to stay in relationship with people who cannot see themselves clearly or correct harmful behavior. That is not loving to them or to you. So when I say that we need to love everyone in the story, that does not mean we just have to put up with everyone's bad behavior. That's not loving. That's being permissive. That's people pleasing. That is false and that is harmful. That is not love. Putting up boundaries, calling out bad behavior, holding space for everyone to be human and make mistakes. Loving everyone in the story is allowing them to be human, allowing you to be human, which by human I mean imperfect, and holding space where everyone can improve, which means owning the truth, what is true. That your ex did really awful things and Holding on to that is causing you current harm. Holding on to that is making those awful things still affect you in the present. It is allowing that door of abuse to still be open, rather than choosing to love by setting boundaries and handing him back his stuff or her stuff to deal with that they try to put on you to deal with. This goes for friendships as well. If your child's friends are unkind, maybe they're a frenemy, allowing that minor who does not have a developed brain to be imperfect and teaching your child how to set boundaries, recognizing their own value, recognizing harm in the form of friendship. That means spreading false truths, saying one thing and doing another, all of the red flags we want to educate our children on. And that includes recognizing when they are a red flag, because we are all doing red flag behavior from time to time. This is what it looks like in real time to love everyone in the story. We want to come back to truth. We want to come back to love. We want to come back to seeing ourselves and others' behavior with an honest lens. And that means that nobody's black and white. Nothing is cut and dry. Your ex that is affecting your relationship with your child, they potentially had a bad relationship with their parents. They maybe can't calibrate their emotions like you. They struggle with things and you're not accountable for that. They are. Loving everyone in the story requires us to hold a lot of seemingly conflicting things at once. Like the villain in our story is also worthy of love. I love the movie Maleficent. This is a great storytelling way of showing how villains are created and vilified, of how they were once sweet and soft, and because of harm that they encountered, they had to put up protective walls, protective stances. And again, that does not give permission for them to behave badly. It gives us permission to see them as a multifaceted person so that we can hold space for them to be human, for their lovability, and set appropriate boundaries for our ability to love and to connect. It is loving everyone as they are, and this is why it is next level love. If you're having a hard time wrapping your brain around this, or perhaps your heart around this, please reach out. Imagine your teen walking into the room and your heart skips a beat because you're so excited to see them. Just connection, love, and peace flowing between you. You're confident that no matter their mood, it's going to be okay. This is the powerful skill set my clients gain. Book a free Discover Your Disconnection Pattern call with me, and I will outline your exact process to find the peace, connection, and confidence in your teen and their future you're wanting. Visit my website, heatherfraser.com, or click the link in the show notes. Remember, Fraser is spelled with a Z-I in the middle. I look forward to meeting and helping you. Part 2. How do we do this? What are the benefits? Why would I love people who I think are awful? That's the vibe we're going with on the back half here, my friend. Because it is human nature to not want to love the Hitlers in our life, to not want to love the people who have caused so much devastation and harm. Let's talk about the benefits. because to me, when I was taking psychology courses, I realized even altruistic driven behavior, right? We have selfish behavior. We have a lot of drivers for behavior. Even the most purely driven altruistic behaviors still clap back to ourselves. They still reflect on us. And this is a great example of how that happens. Because when we can set down anger, when we can heal our wounds, when we let go of hurts that other people have caused us, we are not in fact letting them off the hook. We are moving past it. We are releasing ourselves from their power. Think about that for a minute. Making space to acknowledge the humanity in people who have caused harm does not benefit them. Because truly loving everyone in the story is having boundaries where everyone can feel safe. So they don't benefit from it necessarily unless they choose to acknowledge that and be grateful for it. We benefit from it. My friends, you and I, that altruistic love benefits us because we are no longer held captive by the anger, by the resentment, by the hurt that drives us to dislike them. They no longer live rent-free in our mind, in other words. That space is no longer available for them. We can wish them the best, we can move on with our life, and we do not have to think ill of them, which is still thinking about them. They no longer have to occupy our thoughts in ways that feel uncomfortable to us. Seriously. Let me restate that. The benefit of loving everyone in your story, including the bad guys, is that they do not have power over you anymore when you choose to love them. They are no longer living rent-free in your emotions. You are taking your power back that you gave to them. You're doing it for the benefit of your child. What an amazing example. A lot of parents will say, no, I have to hate my ex because then if I'm nice, my children will think that they're okay, that they're not the problem. I assure you that is not the case. Anybody who can calibrate a healthy parent and an unhealthy parent, when they are mentally healthy, they will be able to tell the difference. They do not need your assistance. That is for them to figure out when they're ready to see people clearly. It is not your job. Your job is to create a good example for your children, which means creating your own peace of mind. Those are the benefits. And I start with that because the application is so hard that we have to start with the benefits so that you'll want to even try the application. Because the application is essentially making space for them to do what they want because they will. So the mean girls can be the mean girls. The toxic ex can be the toxic ex. And you don't get to choose for them. Now, again, you can have repercussions. If somebody is bullying your child, do what you need to do to protect your child. But you can do that in a loving way. In saying, I love these bullies enough to do what I can to call them out and hold them accountable for their behavior, rather than hating them back. It is the energy in which we move for change that can create attainable and maintainable changes, or it just blows up. One of the easiest ways to see this is in losing weight. You can hate yourself thin, but maintaining that is really hard and feels awful and isn't fun. But loving your body so much that you want to treat it with respect feels good, and it is so much more attainable and maintainable because you start walking with people that you love and it's really fun, or you're doing yoga or hiking or biking, whatever it is, and you are feeding your body things that it loves, things that it craves, healthier foods, better sleep patterns, because you love and respect yourself so much, rather than punishing yourself for something that culture tells you you should be. Vastly different can look similar in a pair of jeans. It's the same thing with relationships. Allowing people to be them could look like you've let them off the hook. Or it could be that you are allowing them to be them and you're maintaining your side of the street rather than worrying about theirs. That is the application. This can look different in practice for every situation. If you want to run through situations, I am one click away, my friend. Give it a try. The benefits far outweigh the cost. There is nothing like the peace of mind of no longer being affected when somebody walks in the room. It is a beautiful thing. I invite you to consider the possibilities. Set up a call with me if you need help, and we'll talk to you next week.
Heather is the one, an expert in the field. She knows her parenting stuff, including how confusing it can be. You've tried it all, and it's a lost cause. Crying in the closet 'cause you failed at being a mom. But think again, there's peace around the corner and there's hope in your hands. Your kid just wants your love and you want it from them. So take a pill.